we have a legend, an icon. We have been waiting for this moment.
I've been waiting as well.
Last time I saw you, you were running through the hallway because you were booked and busy.
Yeah.
Ari Lennox was here.
Yeah.
She was so happy to see you as well.
Yeah, it was a beautiful pleasure to meet her.
It was such an incredible moment because right before you guys actually saw each other in the hallway, she had posted about you, and it was just like those crazy moments that come together.
Hey, it was meant to be. And hopefully we can link in the studio and make a record.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I would love that.
For sure. Okay, so you are an icon, a legend. We have been listening to you for a long time. And you know, it's so crazy. Like Katrina and I were talking about this. Like, it's crazy in our career now to be talking to legends, right?
Thank you.
And I have to be honest. I sing this part out loud all the time. And I just want to know, Jon, if I'm hitting these notes right, if this is Jon B approved.
What's that? Okay.
Go, Katrina. Turn it up, Katrina. Girl, I just want to love you. Don't listen to what people say. They don't know about.
Well, you got the words right. Just playing.
I've always wanted to sing that to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
You know
absolutely.
what? I feel you. I feel you.
That's all that matters. Is there any hope for me being honest? Or should I stick to radio?
Well, you know what? With practice comes perfection.
At
you know
some point in life,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about this brand new album,
Yeah.
Waiting on You.
Yes.
Tell me about this title. Who are you waiting on? And or maybe someone's waiting on you?
Well, I think it's really me waiting on myself. You know, speaking to the mirror, like waiting on you. You know, is it time now? Okay, I'm waiting on you. When it's time, let me know. So I'm showing up now. It's like it's 30 years now in the game. It's my 10th album.
Man,
it's
congratulations.
Thank you so much, man. You know, it's been 10 years since my last album, so it's time. It's time to put something new out. Yeah.
What was the holdup? Why so long?
A lot of shows, a lot of touring. A lot of reconnecting with my folks, you know what I mean? Everybody who's supported me all this time, it's like to be able to reconnect with those people, sing the songs that they're already familiar with.
Sure.
And just really just re-inspire people to be interested again, you know, in my music. Because, you know, there's so many more artists since the 90s when I came out in 95. And there's an amazing amount of artists out there to choose from. So, yeah, to be right in front of your face, performing for you, singing my heart out for you, you know, that's what it's all about. And I think after you do that, and we kind of get back in a vibe again, then I'm hit you with some new music.
Were you having like writer's block or not inspired to get into studio and release music? Or were you just finding the love, you know, performing just more gratifying? Yeah,
well, the thing is like, I think that when COVID hit, it shut us down because we were in album release mode, and I had the song Understand featuring Donnell Jones out, and we put a video out for that and everything, but then COVID hit, shut everything down. It kind of made us go back to, you know, the lab with just an idea of like, how are we gonna maneuver now? So when everything opened back up, it was time to get back on the road and, you know, really because it's 2 years of not being able to do shows for people, not being able to connect with people. You're really the only time. Well, what we did do over the COVID was we had these little online private little shows that I was doing. I called them Vibes Elect Cafes, and we rented out this really dope little venue. Had my band come. We played like requested songs. You could come to my, you know, get on Instagram or whatever and send me a DM. Will you play this song? And I'll just put it in the, you know, so every month we would have a different series.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was really fun to do that. But it was time. It was time to put something new out. You know, 10 years is too long. And I don't plan on ever taking that long again.
Yeah, 10 years, I mean, we need that voice. We need the music. It's really important. The reason I ask is because, you know, we always hear about, maybe there's like contract issues and you're being held up. And I feel a lot of great artists that, you know, we love went through that, you know? Did you ever go through that in the industry, or were you fortunate enough to bypass, you know?
Well, I got out of my deal with Epic right after my third album. And basically, we don't have to go into like detail about it, but in terms of like, creatively, I've always been very self-contained and very much like I know what I want to do as an artist. So I don't need I don't need A&Rs so much. I don't need outside producers as much. When I want to collaborate with someone, when someone's doing a sound, has a sound that I like and I want to collaborate with them, cool, I'll go for it. But other than that, I'm not one of those artists that has to necessarily work with people. So a lot of my style comes from me producing my own music and me writing my lyrics and stuff like that. So there's a lot of sort of signature energy in that where I don't feel like it could be replicated as well by anybody else but me. So it's really, allowing that. You got to live life though. You got to live life to have something to write about. And so, during those 10 years I've been raising my daughters. I've been, I have an 11-year-old.
2 daughters,
yes,
right?
I have an 11-year-old and an 18-year-old.
Oh, my heart.
Well, she's going to be 18 soon. She's still 17. She hasn't made it over the gate yet. But yeah, like just being able to have a somewhat regular life.
That's amazing.
Along with being, rock star on the weekends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's a blessing, though. Not a lot of people can balance the two, at least, if anything, the fact that you value spending time with your family and understanding that meant a lot during this time where you took a little, break from actually going into studio and releasing music.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So the song "Waiting on You" with Tank.
Tank, featuring Tank. Yeah.
This is so interesting. Have you seen Tank on Broadway?
Oh, not yet. Not yet. I got to check out Hell's Kitchen. Yeah.
I'm so curious what you're going to think about Tank and this dynamic on stage.
I'm sure he's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's great. I mean, he's such a talent and somebody who's been involved in my career for many years. I was a huge supporter of him when he first came out with his first song. So we linked up on my 4th album, Stronger Every Day, back in 2004.
Yeah.
And that was the first time working together. We did the song Lately together. And the title track of that album, Stronger Every Day, was a duet. And he's just a wonderful guy, man. He shows a lot of love and incredibly talented pianist, incredibly talented producer, songwriter himself. So when I got to finally play my song for him, I just played it for him with no intention of asking him to be on it. I just was like, this song, I got to give you your flowers, bro, because like you're one of the guys I pay attention to who's been influencing me lately, and so hopefully you hear a little of that in this song, and the maturity that's, it's kind of taken place over the years,
Yeah.
And so when he heard it, he was just like, man, you bodied that record. He's like, and I got to be on that record. And I was like, what?
That's beautiful.
First of all, as a fan of R&B, I know what that means for R&B as a whole. Like us getting together like that and doing like a really dope collaboration.
Yeah.
So that's why this is the second album I've named after a collaboration with Tank. My first one was Stronger Every Day.
You must really like him. He must be a good friend.
He's definitely a good friend and a great talent to really keep all of us guys who've been in the game as long as I have on our toes, man. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Putting us up on our best game, you know what I mean?
That's why I was talking about him being on Broadway. I love that. Yeah. He's challenging himself. He's doing things that maybe he wasn't doing before, and I love the evolution.
Yeah.
It's important to have that evolution. Now, I had seen one of your TikToks, and I loved it because you were on the beach. It looked, I assume it was California.
Okay.
And you were talking about right before the album came out that you wanted DJ Quik.
To
work on it. Did he ever get a chance to do anything
he did.
on
At
it?
At the end, I brought my song "Still Got Love" to him, and I was like, man, this kind of has like a little bit of a West Coast bounce, a little bit to it, so can you help me polish this thing up, and you put that DJ Quik slap on it,
so
that's exactly what he did, and it was actually the rapper Problem, and DJ Quik in the studio at Quik's house. And it's actually cool because I'm putting out a little documentary to kind of go with the album.
I love
to show
this.
behind the scenes, and so you're gonna see all that, us linking up in the studio and just doing our thing.
What's the magic that we're gonna see? And obviously, you're not gonna tell us everything, but what makes that so special? Going into the studio with Jon B.
Well, I think that you put energies in the studio that are similar energies, or basically you have a similar goal in mind. It's to just make something really good. Mm-hmm. And when you have the skills and the equipment and everything is all sort of dialed up, then I think that it's just a matter of time before you get something that the whole world's gonna love. You know what I mean? So
I remember talking to Vince Staples, and he was talking about being in a studio with DJ Quik before, and all of a sudden, you know, he starts fixing everything. Is that how it is?
Yeah. He'll break the whole song down, like, and start from the drums up, right. You know, like, I played live drums on this particular record. Still Got Love is the name of it. And so I said, man, you got to mix those drums, man. Put your thing on the drums. So he starts with the drums, and he, you know, gets everything sounding just super, you know, just hitting. And then we go to the keyboards, and then we go to the bass, and then we go to the vocals. And so the vocals is always my area of expertise. So I come in there, and I'm like, all right, well, let's make this sound like this. Let's put this reverb on there, you know, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
What's something about DJ Quik that most people don't know about his brilliance?
That he's like a Quincy Jones. Like, he may not be the guy who's punching the keys or playing the drum set or whatever, but he's going to let you know exactly what nuances you need to bring out if you are the person who's playing it. He's very, very involved in the making of the entire track, from the drums to the, you know, usually he has guitar players and bass players and stuff, instrumentalists.
So amazing.
But he's involved with it. But then besides that, being an incredible DJ.
Yes.
And not the kind of DJ that is relying on like any sort of like computer, any assistance at all. Like, he's doing vinyl, you know what I mean? Like, mixing vinyl like old school and killing it. And killing. He's everything? He's sick at cutting. He's sick at cutting.
So great. That's
not so much like the music that he makes now that doesn't really require that anymore.
Sure.
But we recently did a track, collaboration, where he took this, like, he had this ABC, old, like, sing the ABCs record, like, from, like, you know, when you're a little kid. You're just learning the alphabet.
I have a toddler, so I know this too well.
A is for apple, right? You know, but it was like a choir where they were, like, singing the alphabet, and then they would say the name. So it'd be like, A is for apple, B is for boy, whatever.
Yeah.
So he took all of the letters of our names from this, so it was J,
wow.
N, B, you know what I mean? And it's
great.
all different, you know, singing, and just like all cut up in different places. D, J, Q, U, I, C, K.
It's so amazing. I just, you know, when I see such like incredible minds like DJ Quik or your mind, I'm just like, I wish I had that talent, clearly.
Well, bless you, man. I mean, you got your talent, and that's good, you know?
You know, that's why I got into radio, because I love music so much.
Yes.
But it's just, I just think it's so, you guys are just artists, visionaries in such a beautiful way.
It's a vicarious, it's a trip, because without you, we don't have someone to be the host of our energy, you know what I mean, and sort of welcome us into the world.
Thank you.
And put us on the, you know, on that opportunity, you know, to be able to get into your ears. So thank you for that.
Of course. And you know, I just, when I'm looking back at your incredible career, not a lot of people can say they've been in the game for 30 years.
It's crazy.
By the way, your debut album is about to turn 30 next month. Bonafide.
Yeah, Bonafide, yeah.
One word to describe that time period for you.
I would say it was a renaissance period. You know what I mean? A renaissance period for music. Just incredible. We were really not afraid to show you how we felt. We were not the least bit inhibited in our, you know, romanticism. You know what I mean? It's like it was about being romantic. It was about showing chivalry. Chivalry. Can you say that word? Chivalry.
You say it better than me.
But yeah, I mean, you know, showing what a real man who's going to stand by your side feels and sounds like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I feel like now so much has changed in music that I really value my lyrics. I value the energy that I'm on, because I know it's not anybody out here like me, man. You know what I mean? I'm the only one who's doing, in terms of, I'm gonna speak about, let's just say the white guys on R&B. I don't feel like it's no one who does what I do. You know what I mean? They all do what they do great, but I don't do what I do. I write, produce. I'm a real artist, and that's not to say that other people aren't real artists, but I think that fame is like something you chase. Ooh. You know what I mean? And you got to chase it hard in order to be famous. I've never chased fame. I let fame chase me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it happens when it's supposed to, in an organic, natural, authentic way.
Yeah.
That's why it's 30 years later and we're talking about a career that it's not just, oh, well, you know, I have this massive corporation behind me that's making sure that every song that I come out with is a hit. It's more than that. It's a connection with my audience, with my fans. It's years of like living life to this music and having that exchange of like, you know, dang, I played your music on my way to work, and it just made me feel good before I knew I had to start my day.
We were in middle school running home to watch your video. Like literally, that's how I was like, no, I like literally singing, like, and not really understanding all the lyrics and how great, and like, wow, it was so vulnerable. Like you're talking about right now.
Yeah, vulnerability is important.
So vulnerable.
And I think now it's like, it's almost unheard of vulnerability.
Yeah.
And like, at least, I will say R&B, one great thing we still have is the ability to be vulnerable in R&B.
It's beautiful.
There's not a lot of styles of music that offer that currently. You know what I mean? And so, but it's still in style to sing about love and R&B.
It's beautiful.
You know what I'm saying?
And heartbreak.
And heartbreak.
All of it in between.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Just every aspect. But I mean, we can really kind of like show you our feelings with R&B, you know, and it's okay.
It's okay. And it's okay. When did you realize you influenced so many other artists? Do you remember that point in your career?
Man, you know, well, I will tell you the most incredible thing that recently happened to me was I was collaborating in the studio with a very well-known artist by the name of Brent Faiyaz. And Brent Faiyaz is a huge fan of mine. And I recently saw
Toxic Energy. There's toxic energy with Brent's music.
Well, there's
a little bit.
There's a little bit of that, you know,
and we love it.
That bad boy side, you know, that nasty, you know, kind of like, you know, side, which R&B has always had that. But, you know, he's like, if he's not trying to wife you, then he's trying
then you can fill in the blanks.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's kind of like, you know, the energy, but the energy that I got from Brent was like, man, I try to channel like you when I'm recording is what he told me. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I've never ever had someone kind of allow me to feel like I know Babyface must have felt when I came with Someone to Love and I tried to sound just like him. You know what I mean? I was just, every interview was talking about Babyface, you know? It felt kind of like that was my Babyface moment, you know, for Brent, you know, to give me that show me that love like that. That was huge. And we recorded the song. It came out dope. It's a dope song. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to speak on it now. It's in the universe.
That's amazing. Did you feel pressure back when you were putting your debut album out? You worked with Babyface.
Yeah,
You've talked about him being your idol and just someone that you have always looked up to. Did you feel this pressure then? Like where you're like, oh my God, I want to make him proud.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because you know, you're just really at 18. There's nothing that you won't. You know, it's like I'm just putting it all out there for you to hear, you know. And I mean, you can hear the Toni Braxton influence as well on my first album because I'm a huge Toni Braxton fan. So it's weird how a female can influence a male artist, but it happens. It does, and I think you can hear some of that on that album and my vocals on the song like Time After Time. On that, it's like I'm crying like on that record. Like I really am. Like that's a sad song about a guy who's just like giving his all and doesn't, you know, get what he wants in the end. He's like, time after time, you're gonna be thinking about me though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The
that
one who got away for sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So did you make Babyface proud? Do you feel like you have over the years?
I hope so. I feel like I don't see how you couldn't be proud. You know what I mean? Being that started off humble beginnings. Well, if you can call that humble beginnings, I don't know. Being a duet with your favorite person in R&B.
On their debut album.
You know what I mean? On the debut, and then following up with Tupac Shakur. I mean, I made lateral moves that were very, very, you know, beneficial career-wise, you know, but it was also we took a lot of chances. Yeah. Because I was at the dawn of the point where, you know, R&B and hip-hop were going to collaborate for the first time, for real. And it was okay to have a rapper sound vulnerable on an R&B cut. And Tupac Shakur, Thug Life, come on, you know.
Come on.
And he comes in, he's got the suavest, smoothest, you know, delivery on that.
We got to talk about Pac.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, you're from the West Coast,
yeah,
right?
I'm from Altadena.
Okay,
yeah.
So this is a big deal for you. I'm just trying to paint the picture for a lot of people who may not understand at this time what is really going on. I mean, this is the peak West Coast energy.
Yeah.
You're from the West.
Yeah. How do you want it? I mean,
how did you meet Pac? What was that?
I came down to the How Do You Want It video shoot. And he invited me down.
Did you see a lot of adult stars there?
Yes, I did. Heather Hunter was there. She was all up in Pac's RV. Yeah. The doors locked.
Were you shocked? Or was this like... Did you kind of know what was happening?
No, you know what? They kept me from a lot of that because it was like, that was the video that was being shot inside the club, which I didn't go inside the club. I stayed on the RV and was chilling with Pac while he was getting ready to go to his
Got it. Okay.
So it was me, Casey and JoJo, Tupac, Johnny J, Sway, Sway and Tech was there. And so I started playing beats for Pac. And this man right here, Bezo, is the one who introduced me. And,
we're gonna need some story.
Oh yeah.
Wait, see, he introduced you to Pac.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're Pac's friend.
Yeah, he was Tupac's friend, close friend, and calls me up and says somebody wants to holler at you, and then he puts Pac on the phone. Pac, my God. Jon B, man, what's up, man? What's going on, man? I'm like, Tupac, what's up, man? He's like, man, come down to my video shoot right now. So I came down, and
of course, right?
You know, and Bezo's there, and Eric B is there, and Eric B from Eric B and Rakim.
Yep.
And they take me on to meet Pac. And I'm like walking through all these metal detectors, and it's like the airport up there. Make sure nobody had any weaponry on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I walk in there and I'm, I'm ecstatic about making a record with him. So I started playing him beats, and then he started to freestyle to some of my beats. And the rest is history. I mean, he called me 2 weeks later, and it was like, come to the studio. Let's make some music. We made Are You Still Down?
So that wasn't like pieced together. That was you both
No.
actually in the studio recording.
writing it. I mean, finishing each other's sentences. He's telling me how to sing the song.
Did you take offense to it at all? Because you're like, I'm the singer.
Oh no, not at all. Because I mean, he would even sing to me how he wanted it to go. He'd be like, "Girl, it's all right, baby."
Let me
I'm
find
like,
out
okay,
Pac was
Tupac, a little singing. Okay,
yeah.
It wouldn't be exactly perfect, but I said, "Oh, you mean, girl, it's all right, baby." Yeah. He's like, just like that. All right, go in there and do that. But a couple times singing it down and then not getting it right, Pac turned up on me and he was like, "All right, man, listen, let's take it all the way back to the very beginning, and I want you to burn from the very beginning. I want you to sing the F out of that song right now,
Yeah.
So that's what you hear when you hear the record is that take, you know what I mean?
Did you feel pressure at that point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who was all in the studio?
Oh, man.
Do you remember?
Yeah. It was a lot of people from Death Row.
Sure.
In the studio.
This is, again, the height of the West Coast, Death Row Records.
Yeah.
It's a movement.
Yeah. It wasn't too many other people that I know. I mean, that I know of by name or whatever like that. Like no other artists that I remember.
Right.
Besides Tupac. But one thing I do remember is after we finished recording Are You Still Down, he said, "I got this other song I'm working on in the other room. You want to check out the other studio and see what I'm doing?" I said, "Hell yeah." So we walked in there, and there's To Live and Die in L.A. He's recording that.
The classic.
And he goes in the booth and then records the second track over his, like overdub over his vocal. And I thought it was already on tape, but he was in there rapping it. And I was like, this dude is such a legend. Like, he's so talented to match his voice like that. Exactly.
Perfection.
Yeah, it was perfection. So
what is it? Because, I know you've talked about Pac before, but, I'm a Pac fan.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the closest we're ever going to get to Pac and just knowing anything about him and just seeing, just and hearing these stories. What was your impression of him when you first met him? Like, we've heard so many different things.
Just energy, but motivational energy. He was like the type of dude, like, he wouldn't speak on it if he didn't feel it, But if he felt it, it was 100%, and it wasn't like halfway, or it was like out with his chest with everything. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like,
yes.
If you're not doing 3 songs a day, then you ain't really doing it, dog. You know what I mean? We over here making music, man. 3 songs a day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, all right, like that, like, okay, Pac, all right,
Yeah.
I mean, at first I was gonna produce the song myself, and I had like all my keyboards and my drum machine there.
You're talking about Are You Still Down?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I first pulled up to the studio, but I looked in his car. He had like a burgundy, I think it was a
Benz.
It was a Rolls Royce.
Ooh.
And my first album, Bonafide, is sitting there on the seat of the shotgun. Like, it's right there, you know, just right there, plain as day. It's almost like he had it placed there just so he could let me know, I've been vibing you, bro. Like, I'm a fan, you know what I mean? I bought your album. So I'm walking
Were
in
you
there.
like, what is happening?
I said, bro, I seen the album in the car. And he's like, yeah, man, I love your shit, man. So, you know,
isn't that crazy? Was that like a moment for you? Like, this is...
Yeah, no, and likewise, because I mean, Tupac had so many songs that you know, that were heartfelt on another level, like speaking about his mother, you know what I mean? Right. And songs like that would big up, you know, young mothers, first time mothers having a baby on their own, and that kind of single motherhood, and, you know, keep your head up, you know, I mean, these
Dear
records
Mama,
were
everything.
Dear Mama, you know, I mean, it's just, there was he was a profound person because he had a backbone and he had a moral compass. And even though it was thug life, it wasn't thug life in terms of like, let's not have no spirituality. It was more like, no, it's all about spirituality. It's all about seeing our community and what we really, or what are we really doing here? And so we gotta make the people even that feel like they're thugs, make them feel like this is their life too. You know what I mean?
Too.
And their love too, you know? So it's thug life. But I you know, I saw a person that was kind of like struggling with two sides of themselves, which was like a person that wanted to really be the communal connection to his culture and his culture, you know? And then the person who was expanding their horizons, and he was undefined with the acting. He was undefined in Hollywood in terms of like this next level, this next page that he was gonna achieve. So I think that it got to be to where the two personalities were fighting. Yeah. You know, who was gonna take the lead? Yeah. Was it gonna be the thug life Tupac from the streets, from the Oakland streets and Bronx streets and every hood in America he lived in, Baltimore? I mean, come on, like, all the influence that he took in from the streets. Is that going to be the person who's up front, or is it going to be the actor Tupac? Which is, I think, I don't know him. I didn't know him well enough to speak on him like this. But if you're going to ask me what I think, as far as Tupac, I think that he was an actor, and even the thug part, the tough guy part, that was him sort of like embodying his character, but the nicest guy. I'm talking about the sweetest person, and he would be so complimentary. Really? Yeah. You know, he was so complimentary, and just, hey man, if you walk in the room, you know who that is in the booth? That's Jon B. So keep it down, all right? I mean, if the engineer guy didn't make the right punch, when you punch in, that means when you start recording, right? So sometimes I would mess up a word, but the part after that, well, the part that I want is right here, right? And then the part before that is all good. Right. So don't erase that part before. Right. You got to punch right on the word, right on the right word. So I remember one time the guy got it wrong. Uh-oh. And he messed up. He recorded over the part we wanted. And so Pac lost it. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, man. You don't listen, you know. It's going off. And I felt so sorry for that guy. But, you know, 5 minutes later, he's telling me, man, like that.
We're back. Yeah, we're back. Great job.
Know what I'm saying? Yeah, so.
This is such an interesting time. Did you ever feel, I don't know, the pressure of the media, East Coast, West Coast tension that was going on? I mean, you're from LA. Yeah.
I was born in Rhode Island, though. You know, I'm from the East Coast. Okay. Like, I touched down on the earth on the East Coast. Yeah. And then made my way, you know, to the West Coast when I was about 4 or 5 years old. So for the most part, I grew up on the West Coast. But one thing I did get to experience, my sister moved to New York when she was 16 years old. She took the GED, and she got a scholarship to Juilliard. Wow. Here in New York City. So I'm like 13 and my sister's 16, and I'm saying, Mom, can I go visit my sister, you know, for the summer, you know, and go into New York? She's like, sure, go ahead. Right. So I fly by myself on a plane, you know, 13 years old, go to see my sister. She picks me up at the airport. We're like young kids in New York City, you know what I mean? Wow. And like, so I'm like, sneaking my first little glass of champagne on like those little bodegas that were in the middle of the strip on Broadway back in the day, where you could sip champagne right on the middle of the strip. in Times Square. I'm sitting there like, I can't believe I'm here.
I can't believe. Did your parents ever know what you were doing?
No, no. But at 18, I finally made it to. Well, I met Babyface at 18.
How? Where?
And there was a hole-in-the-wall record label. And I was shopping all my music. I had like a demo tape of about 40 songs I had written and recorded myself and demoed up myself and everything. And so, but this was my way of kind of getting productions, was I'd play my music for different A&Rs around in the scene and say, hey, man, I like this track number 4, it's dope. Can I use that for my group that I have coming out? And say, yeah, sure. I'm going to send them to your house. You could demo it up with them. So, yeah, that kind of stuff. Wow. And I would do stuff like that. But what happened was my tape ended up making it to this little hole-in-the-wall record label. It was called the Edmonds Record Group. Mm-hmm. And I thought, Edmonds, Babyface,
it can't be, but
that can't be the same guy because he's got LaFace already. So why would he start another label? Right. But anyway, it turns out this is his wife in his label at the time, Tracy Edmonds. And so, yeah, I got my demo over there. It was so funny because I had left the demo with them and I didn't stick around to see their reaction. I just kind of was like, all right, I did that. Let me get out. Because Babyface wasn't there when I pulled up. Right. It was just this other person. And he took the tape and he's like, he calls Babyface. So I go to Motown Records and I'm in there with the A&R Motown and he's playing my music. It's pretty good, pretty good. He gets a ring on the phone. Hello? What's up, Kenny? Man, damn, I get a call from Babyface. Why do I get a call from you today? What's so special about me? He says, you got a young gentleman in your office right now named Jonathan B.
Oh my gosh.
And he goes, yeah, I'm having a meeting with him about his career. How you gonna call my office at another label and ask? He's like, yeah, do you think you could put him on the phone real quick? I was like, so Babyface wants to talk to you. So at that point, my entire butterflies, but it's like just sinking feeling all of a sudden just was like, oh my, I'm so nervous. Like, what am I going to say? How do I?
What did you say?
And so I just said, hello. And he goes, hey, is this John? I was like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I really love what I'm hearing. And I was like, you don't understand. You are, hold on. He's like, just come, you know what? Save that thought. He's like, come back over to the 3rd Street where the label was and everything. And so I come back over. And here's Tracy Edmonds opening the door, beautiful Tracy Edmonds, and I'm just like, "Who are you?" Like, oh my gosh! And she's like, "I'm Kenny's wife, Tracy, and this is our label." And then she's like, "This is Kenny," and Kenny turns around and comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, hey man, looking kind of shocked." And I was like, well, what's it? I didn't know like if it was still good or not. Like, cause I'm white. I guess, he's like, what? Like, he was shocked. I guess for sure he thought I was black or whatever. And so he's like, that's you singing this stuff? And I was like, yeah, you're my favorite, man. I want to be on the team, man. How can I get down? Cause I'm a producer and a writer and I just basically wrote these songs, and demoed them up just to show what I can do, but I'm not trying to be no artist or nothing like that, not like you. And he was like, why not? He's like, you got the voice. Wow. You got the voice. You should do it. And he said, yeah, we're interested. We're interested in working with you. And so I was like, let's see how interested. I went to Warner Brothers and they were a little bit interested, very interested after they heard the Babyface was involved. Course. And then we got into this little dance between labels, and my loyalty was with Babyface. I mean, they offered me millions of dollars to sign to Warner. Mm-hmm. And I passed up millions for that because it was the opportunity that was priceless to me to work with my my teacher. Yes. You know what I mean? He's my teacher. You know what I'm saying? Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they're my teachers. These guys, I wouldn't know how to play R&B chords if it wasn't for these guys. I wouldn't know how to sing with the texture of R&B, real R&B. Like a Babyface texture, what I mean? So, yeah.
How did you have that much confidence then? To say, well, let's see how really interested you are. Like,
talent shows really helped with that part. Okay. I was entering in every talent show around L.A. I mean, I'd go down to Compton and do a show, at the Ramada Hotel in Compton. Like, I remember just entering into so many different talent shows. And it was funny. One year, I think I thought we killed it. I was like, I know we won, y'all. I had this group, the singing group with some high school buddies.
Yeah.
And it was a dude that went up on stage. He was in a wheelchair, and I think he lip synced to like NWA or something like that. And all of his family came.
Yeah.
So he won.
Yeah, because they're the loudest. They're cheering.
Yeah, they were cheering for him, and we were cheering for him too. You know what I mean? So we weren't even mad. But I just remember that time. I was like, man, sometimes we just gotta just love what we do and just go up there and do it, regardless of whether you are gonna win or not.
Whether you get the validation from the claps or not.
You
love what you do.
Yeah, and we did a really good job. So I always remember that. Like, even though you do a good job, doesn't mean you necessarily get to be the guy who wins the award. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was my attitude about it, was show up with the, show and prove.
Yeah. What would you say are your top 5 R&B albums?
Wow. Well, I would say Michael Jackson's Off the Wall is up there. I love Janet Jackson's 1814 Rhythm Nation.
Yes. Classic
record. Learned so much from that. Babyface's Tender Lover album. Oh. You know what I mean? Like, I think every song on that album is like an absolute
greatness.
Like just gem.
Yes.
There's not one album filler on that record.
Right.
Like, even the songs that weren't singles for me are my favorite songs on that album. New Edition, Heartbreak. New Edition, Heartbreak.
That's another classic.
Classic record. These are the I named these albums because this is what taught me R&B. Keith Sweat, Make It Last Forever. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my gosh.
I mean, Guy, you know what I mean? The first Guy album. Yes. I mean, Mary J. Blige, My Life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
So yeah.
You
D'Angelo, Brown Sugar. Need I go on? Sade, you know what I mean? I mean, we could go on forever, man.
How about when it comes to R&B Mount Rushmore? Like,
oh, yeah.
Your 4
I love
favorites.
this one. I've been asked this before. So Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross, Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway. Yeah.
That's 4.
That's 4 right there.
Damn, okay.
Yeah.
And you're standing on it. I saw, like, the way you said that was like, I'm clear.
Those are the forefathers right there. Because, you can kind of find other voices. Like, I can find the Johnny Gills. And, you know what? Did I say Luther Vandross?
You did.
I did say Luther Vandross.
Yep,
yeah.
You absolutely
did. So,
did.
That's, to me, like, I think what inspired an artist like Johnny Gill to have his sound.
Yes.
And that's another person I'm huge fan of.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's a big influence on me. Vocally.
You as a songwriter, is there a song that you worked on that you wish you would have kept for yourself?
Oh, man. When I get asked this question, it's a trip because I'm so...
You're so nice.
Well,
we don't want you to be nice. Stop being humble, John. Do you know who you are? You are Jon B. Come on.
I mean, it's not really any songs that I gave away that I wouldn't have had it any other way. The song that I wrote for Toni Braxton is a beautiful song. I would have loved for that to be a duet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
That would have been nice.
To sing on a song with her,
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, the song I wrote for Luther Vandross was a huge opportunity for me. It's called Grown Things. And just to have him kind of like love the record as much as he did, he's like, man, that's my first single, man. And I was just like, are you serious? And so to see him light, I can see the smiling face.
And you were in studio.
Yeah. We met at the American Music Awards, and we were backstage, and I was like, I want to work with you, man. I want to work with you. And he goes, I want to work with you. We just kind of like reaching over everybody in the crowd and like, I'm going to work with you, man. I'm going to work with you, bro. And sure enough, Clive Davis called me up. He said, Luther is absolutely set on working with you.
Oh my God, this is insane.
And wrote me a big fat check for that record.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Wow. Okay. How would you describe working with Michael Jackson?
Oh man, what a wonderful experience that was. I mean, to have him call the studio, and because we were managed by the same manager at the time, Sandy Gallen and Jim Morey. He managed like Dolly Parton, and he managed like Richard Gere and like these massive artists. Like I would go to parties at his house and it'd be Johnny Gill. He managed Johnny Gill at the time too as well. It'd be Johnny Gill, Richard Gere, Dolly Parton, It was like you died and gone to
Icons,
heaven.
legends, yes.
And we're all like eating Mexican food in the kitchen, together, like all just on some normal family stuff. You know what I mean?
This.
And yeah, so one time we watched Dumb and Dumber all together.
Classic.
Beamed in on satellite into
Wow.
Sandy's house. And so Michael would be, calling the studio and saying, "Oh, I really love the mix, and I love what you've done with the song," and stuff like that. So yeah, I was just blown away. But then when I met him at the Brit Awards, I came backstage with Jim Morey, and he's like, "Michael's in a place where I think it's a good time to shake his hand, meet him in person. He knows who you are, so let's go." I'm super nervous, and I get back there, and there's Mike, and but what's so funny? It was like Mike was being nervous in front of me. Like, he wasn't holding back, and he was like, I don't have time for this. I'm sorry, but I have to get ready. He's like, "Mike, you have 45 minutes before you have to go on, so it's fine. This is Jon B. Jon B did the mix for the remix of You Are Not Alone. So, oh, yes. Oh, hi, I'm sorry." And I was like, "Oh, no, it's cool. And he kind of shook my hand very lightly and gave him a hug and took a picture, and it was very, very surreal.
Did he like your remix? Was he?
He loved it. He called the studio to tell me that he loved it. He was like, "I love what you're doing with it. It's so different." I got the official remix on You Are Not Alone. Yeah, that was a big moment for me. Working with his vocals in the studio, you'd hear Michael Jackson just soloed, and you hear all that.
Yeah.
And this pops and snaps, and
so cool.
He embodied the music with his mannerisms, and to hear all that, in the track, just soloed out, it's a pretty special
Now,
thing.
did he want you to do the remix, or was that more? Do you know? Like, was he like, I'm hearing this guy?
It was a trip the way I got asked to do it, because we were managed by the same manager.
Got it.
Think the management had a little something to do with
Of
that. They were
course.
like, "Hey, Jon B should remix You Are Not Alone," and he's like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let me hear it. Let me see. Let me see
exactly.
what it's about.
And it was only I think 3 people that got to do remixes on that song. It was Frankie Knuckles did a house remix to it, and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis did a remix to it as well. That was like their style. And I was like, "Well, why would you need me? Why?" So I did my little version, and but that's cool.
And he loved it. He called to say he loved it.
Yeah, he did.
Get
and
out of here.
A cool thing was Mike Dean, the producer, Mike Dean. He was in the studio that day, and I had him come over and play bass on the remix. And so he remembers that. And we were talking the other day. He called me because he's like, "Jon, I sampled your song "Someone to Love" for the new Weeknd record." And I said, "What?" He's like, so he played it for me, and he goes, "But I think that's Babyface, right?" I said, "Man, that's me, man." He's like, "I'm so sorry, man. I knew it was you, but I couldn't tell between the two of you guys." And so they sampled my little bridge part. I say, "For once in my life, I wouldn't let love inside," like that, and they sampled it, sped it up. It's like chipmunk style of that.
Isn't that so amazing, though? What do you think about the Weeknd in general? Because I know that you talked about how he has inspired you.
Yes, he has. Yes, I love how the Weeknd just picks any lane, and he just goes for it, unapologetically, he doesn't miss a beat.
Ever.
Because a song like Save Your Tears is so because I love like British rock music too. Like I grew up on bands like Duran Duran and The Cure and all that stuff. So New Order and Naked Eyes and these British bands that were so dope and kind of soulful, but more in the rock kind of arena.
Sure.
Aha and stuff like that, Take On Me. Those records, when you can take from that genre, but be an R&B guy.
Right.
And do songs like, the record that's the spinoff of the Take On Me record. And he does his version of it.
Yeah.
Which is just as dope. And I love that about him, that he's very
he's
eclectic.
You, right?
Yeah,
but
he's eclectic.
Just to see that, like, you were okay with him sampling
you. Yeah. I mean, to be a fly on the wall of anything that's that good, man, is an honor, and to have big me up like that is cool.
And then now on your album, you sample him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on this new album, it's not a sample, rather, it's more of a stylistic kind of
inspiration.
we're kind of kind of overlapping each other now. We're sort of like, there's so many similarities with our sound selection in the way that I produce. I've always produced like that, very sort of ambient, and it's kind of, you can't really put it into one category. I think if you have multiple categories of influence, take a little bit from the 80s Euro rock shit, and then take something from like 1980 R&B, you know, and then mix it together with some 90s, you know?
I love how you describe music, by the way. Because, like, the way you're describing it, I can picture it.
Yeah. I mean, it's... I'm an avid musician.
You are.
I love it. That's my lane, you know, it's music. So anybody who's in the music, like I am, you know, and is an eclectic person like I am, with so much diversity in terms of the music selection, I think that I'll relate to you right away. So that's why.
Do you have a favorite, I guess, song of someone sampling you that you're like, oh, that was perfection? Yeah,
I mean, honestly, the sampling thing, I think the Drake record, the Cameras song that he did with the sample of my song Calling on You.
Yep.
You know, he basically kept everything in. And he kept my ad-libs in.
You're like, I like that the best.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, all right. That song was never a single, but, you know,
I think that makes it even more special.
Yeah.
That it was not a single and he sampled it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It really is, because it's one of the deep cuts on the album.
That's right.
So, yeah.
So you appreciate those moments.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I had Chloe Bailey on the show, right? And I had asked her how she felt about your comments about, you know, sampling her song with Gunna. And you're like, you weren't a fan of it.
Nah.
You weren't a fan of it. But she answered it so gracefully, because you're a legend, and like when you hear that, your heart must break. So here she is gracefully sharing how she felt when you were disappointed in their sample. And Jon B wasn't too thrilled.
Yes.
About it, right? He was on a podcast called Can We Talk R&B? And, you know, he said he couldn't stand the record and that Gunna didn't get the rights to use the sample. What did you think initially when you heard that? Especially maybe because I know you and you love legends and icons and everyone who's come before. What did you think initially?
To be completely honest, I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Great voice. If it wasn't for his record, we couldn't have done that. I like our version. If he doesn't, then damn. But that's okay. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
On to the next.
Yeah, she's bad, man. I mean, Chloe is she's the truth. So, like...
Do you feel bad now?
No.
Did I make you feel guilty at all right now?
Not at all. No, I think that what we have to do, though, is we have to be real with each other.
Sure.
You know, I'm a guy who's going to be a pure yes man and, you know, anybody. And that is my absolute, that song right there is there's one song that I'm going to be remembered for the rest of my life. And that's the song. So if you're going to sample it, I want it to be, I want the respect level to be there.
Yeah. The
lyrics have to inspire and uplift, not break down, and not make, you know, it's like I have an 11-year-old little girl I'm raising. She don't need to hear her daddy's song like turned into that. That's what I'm saying. And even if it does, she's not gonna listen to it. That's my point. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something I'm gonna play for her.
Yeah.
But, you know, nevertheless, I do kind of feel as if sometimes your words can be misconstrued.
Yes.
And really amplified. The negativity is amplified. And that's never my, you know, that's not my calling.
Yeah.
If I was a battle MC, maybe, you know what I mean? Like,
can you imagine?
You know what I'm saying? Nah, son. Yeah. Nah, but you know, it's not like that. I'm all love, you know, and I love Chloe Bailey and I love Gunna as well as a rapper, MC, you know. He's got one of the dopest voices, and his cadences and all that.
Oh, yes.
It's crazy.
You're such a musician, just like the way you're describing the
man.
music.
I mean, I really do this. I rap too, so that's the thing is like when, you know, when I hear somebody doing it well, I know how to give flowers, man, no problem.
I love that.
Chloe, she's got the entire package. She's so beautiful, incredible voice.
Incredible. So talented.
So hopefully we can collaborate and put to bed that energy that was.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think that would be amazing. I was trying to make you feel bad because that's just. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, you kind of did a little bit because just see her little face. Oh my God,
I know.
She looks disappointed, and I didn't want to disappoint people.
And I also like everyone to like be okay. I'm like,
I
I'm
love
a softie.
everything. I love everything else that she does.
I want to ask you, as we celebrate 30 years for your debut album, I wanted just to ask a question about some of your biggest records. Yeah. Are You Still Down? What one word to actually describe the song?
Epic collaboration, or that's 2 words, but collaboration that's the definition of collaboration.
I have to ask a follow-up. What's the one thing that surprised you about working with Pac on that?
The amount of empathy that he showed for me in the studio, in terms of like let this guy really get into his vibe. Don't get in the way, everybody. You know, I know this is death row, but this is Jon B time right here.
Yeah.
You know, so even though, you know, I'm walking into like all kinds of blunts and Hennessy and, you know, and who knows? Right. We had a metal detector in the studio that we had to check in with the metal detector guy and leave, because, you know, people was strapped. You know what I mean? You leave your pistol at the front with the security guard. Come get it on the way out. Wow. That type of situation. You know what I mean? So it was like lots of 40s, lots of 40 ounces.
Did you check anything in where they like give us something and you're like, I have nothing?
I have my keys. Can I keep these?
Should I check
they're
my
metal,
keys?
but I promise you.
Yes.
No, it was all right. And I mean, Pac knew I was sort of, you know, out of my Babyface. You know what I mean? In the Babyface camp, and all of a sudden now I'm in the Death Row camp. So it was like a little different.
Yeah.
But you know, I became good friends with like Corrupt and DJ Quik, DJ Quik and Battle Cat and let's see, man. There's like a whole list of people that I love dearly on the West Coast that I met through that whole situation, just having that close proximity to Tupac. So amazing. Yeah.
How about They Don't Know? Now, in the lyrics, he said, "Don't ask your friend to ask me," which is another. I try to sing that part. It doesn't work out. You've heard my vocals. Now, is this something you've ever said before?
Yeah. Yeah, that actually came from an instance. That song was written as like sort of almost like autobiographical. It was very, very much what I was going through at the time. I had my girlfriend who was telling me about her friend hating on me, talking about, oh yeah, she saw you at the mall and
who were you with?
And
What's
she
happening?
said you were with this girl and you guys were shopping, whatever. And you know, and I'm listening. I'm like, no, you just need to listen to me. That's not right.
Right.
It didn't happen. And this is, so rather than like telling her like this, like verbatim, I said, let me call you back. I'm in the middle of this song. And I literally sat down. I was at DARP Studios in Atlanta, Dallas Austin Studios. And the track was playing in the background. And I sat down at the table and the first lyrics I wrote were, "Don't listen to what people say. They don't know about you and me. Put it out your mind because it's jealousy. They don't know about this here." Now, I didn't really know how it was going to go, but I just wrote those lyrics out. When I got into the studio, like when I went into the actual, with Tim and Bob in there, that's when I started to come up with the melody. And it was like, don't listen to, you know, that song.
Damn.
Yeah. But
I'm so glad she was on your case because we got a classic. Yeah. We got a classic.
I was definitely getting hated on, you know, from her friends. And so I was just like, listen, don't
listen to that.
But also, you know, you should know that you're my angel. And you're
That's
my
game
angel.
Right there.
You're my angel came from Bob. Bob Robinson is half of Tim and Bob. Many 90s hits. And they did the track for They Don't Know. Well, he came up with the part where you're my angel. I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. And that's the one part where everyone sings that part in the show. You know, when I'm doing that, the two parts they sing are the "You're My Angel" and then at the end, they don't know about our love. They don't know.
Oh, we know. We
don't
know.
Everybody joins in. I'm like, I put the mic out like, all right, y'all sing it, man.
Yes.
You know, that's what's up.
How about for "Don't Talk"? Because I felt like that was a little bit different of a sound.
Yeah. It was a lot of bounce rock skate going on at the time, like with groups like 112, Only You, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Only You.
Yeah.
Why can't we just make it happen? You know, and Next with Too Close.
Oh my gosh.
Baby, when we're grinding. So you had that whole, you know, that kind of vibe, which I call bounce rock skate.
Right.
Because of all the 80s records that were like in that tempo that had like that. So I kind of wanted to do my own version of that, you know? And so I just started
worked.
producing that track. I did that track probably in like 15 minutes or something like that. Like, seriously, in terms of like the track itself, like,
right.
that is the most simplest track. And it's the only change you hear really is the bridge, and it's not even that much of a change. A couple little different chords maybe, but it's basically the same thing the whole way through. So it was just a groove, and I went in the booth, and I think it really kind of started to happen as more of a rappy kind of a lyric.
That's
so
so
I was like, I had to stop for a second on the balcony.
Yes.
Scoping you down, you looking fly to me. If you just say the words, it's a rap.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
So yeah, it was very, very rappy and kind of like wordy in that rhythmic sense of
Yeah.
Yeah, so I loved that about that record because that was sort of my first time really making a song like that.
Yes.
But
you
that's
killed it.
One of the most successful songs I've ever had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about Pretty Girl? Was this about anyone?
Well, that was written by Babyface. So like I can't tell you that from his perspective. I know that he had Tracy Edmonds. You know what I'm saying?
It makes sense to me. How about Someone to Love, of course?
Oh,
we have to talk
that's
about
another
that with
Babyface. That's another Babyface song that he penned and produced. I didn't know it was going to be a duet. Like I said, it ended up being a duet. It was the most heartfelt record. I really loved the song "Giving My All to You" by Johnny Gill. There's something very similar. I don't know why. Maybe it's the way we stack the vocals. It's like almost like a chord that just happened. Giving my all to you. You ever heard that song? It's very much like someone to love.
Like
it's
this,
almost backwards.
yes.
It's giving my all to
That's
you.
right.
Someone to love. There's similarities.
Yes.
And so when I first heard the chorus to Someone to Love, I thought, oh, this is my Giving My All to You record.
This is my moment to do it.
This is my Giving My All to You, you know? And because that's like one of my favorite all-time ballads. So just to be able to have the track alone was, I mean, the bass on that song is so dope. The bass line is just so soulful. And it's also kind of like a record that almost has a bit of a churchy overtone to it. It almost could be a gospel song if you change the lyrics to it because it's so bright and uplifting.
Yes, and you feel good.
Yeah, that's the bottom line.
You feel good.
Isn't that a trip how someone can change the way you feel with music? Like,
isn't it beautiful?
I mean, he really has a gift for that. And I think I aspire to have that same gift, you know?
Yeah.
It's but you know, if I wasn't in touch with my emotions at a very young age, you know what I mean? Through someone like a Babyface or a Tony Braxton or Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Janet Jackson.
Oh, yes.
You know, all of that was sort of shown to me. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I can do that. So I started to.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be that, you know, when I see an artist like Tina Marie, I'd like to be the male, you know, equivalent, you know, the first real white R&B artist. I mean, because I don't really feel like George Michael's really was R&B. I feel like it was much more pop. I feel like Michael McDonald was much more sort of like Doobie Brothers, sort of like kind of easy listening, but not really R&B. I mean, he had a soulful voice, kind of sounded like James Ingram, but I don't really think of him as R&B. I think of him as like a dope vocalist. Daryl Hall, Hall & Oates, again, R&B, but more rock. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out who did Bobby Caldwell. There you go. He came before me. But even so, if you only listen to What You Won't Do, you're not going to hear another song like What You Won't Do. There's a song that he has called The Flame, which is My Flame, which is the sample that Biggie used for Sky is the limit, and you know that you can all keep pressing on. Sky.
Yes.
Dum, 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 dum.
Yes.
Dum, dum, dum.
Yes.
Dum, dum, dum. Yeah, that is like the cut right there. So if anybody got close to it, I think Bobby was the man. You know what I mean? He's like the first white R&B soul dude, you know? But he was a shadow on his covers. He hid his identity.
Sure.
So I didn't do any of that. I came out, man. I was like, here I am.
Yeah, take me as I am.
I think I had my hands up on my first album like this. I'm like literally like, here I am. I hated that album cover too. I thought it was like, oh my God.
Who forced you to do it?
It's actually me balancing on this little, they said, can you climb up on that wall? And they had this blue tarp that was connected to the wall. And what they were going to do was he was going to take a picture of me in front of the blue tarp on the wall. But what happened was the blue tarp, one of the ties came undone and the wind came. It blew the tarp up. And I was standing there and the wind had blown, so I was kind of getting a little bit off balance.
Oh my goodness.
When you see my hands are like this, that's the shot. The tarp is flying up in the air, and they thought, oh, that's odd. It looks kind of like an effect, like almost like a curtain being pulled back for you. You know what I mean? You came out the sky, you know what I mean?
We don't know, but here he is. That is so, I love hearing the behind the scenes stories.
That's what that was. And Rebecca Blake shot my first video, Someone to Love, and Rebecca Blake shot the cover for Duran Duran's Seven and the Ragged Tiger, which is one of my favorite albums with the reflex on it. So I was like, oh my God, you did that. Like, she's like this total muso lady, almost like, you ever seen Incredibles?
Yes.
You know the little lady who designs all the suits with the big ball glasses? Yeah. She had those big ball glasses.
Wow.
And platinum blonde hair just drawn back into a...
it was a vibe.
But yeah, and she had just that directorial vibe, the energy of like, okay, I'm going to tell.
Yes.
Cut. You know what I mean?
What would you say is your, I don't know how to say this, but lowest point in your career that you're lowest point that you're very proud of because it's gotten you to this point today?
Well, I don't know that I've ever spoken on this before. It's an interesting thing when you go through divorce. I married my high school sweetheart when I was 18. I wanted to keep everything from changing, you know, and so a lot of the music that had love in it and that you felt like, oh, this is a guy who's obviously has love in his life. I was yearning for love. I didn't exactly have the one. I had a companion, but we weren't meant to be together. You know what I mean? And that hurts to learn that lesson.
Oh, yes.
And so I think for the first, 3 albums, basically, I was completely gutted. Like, as far as, my heart was broken beyond belief, you know? Just completely, I really had nothing inside me that said I would ever want to be in a relationship again.
Damn it.
I was like, damn, being in relationships, whatever. And I had to get through the 3rd album, do the 4th album.
Wow.
Which was called Stronger Every Day. And that was when me and Tank first met and everything. And
that's right.
He showed me love on that album. And he could kind of sense there was something. That's why he came as such a hero at that time,
yes.
You know? And I thought Babyface kind of thought I was a little dramatic. He was like, oh, man, you drama, man. You need to, don't let that whip you. You need to whoop that. You know what I mean?
Go to the club. You'll be all right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go to the club, you know? So, yeah, exactly. So I was more like, all right, well, Kenny, I want to write songs that are not so happy. So we wrote a song called Lonely Girl. And the song's about, if you can't find your way back home, I'll be there for you. Because home's not what it used to be. So now that we're broken up, our home is literally not the same. So, but you're the lonely girl. So even though you can't find your way back home, I'll show you. I'll show you. You know what I mean?
My gosh.
So, lonely girl, this song's for you. That type of thing. Yeah, I mean, I was just, you got to go through it to get to it. And now I'm married almost. Well, we just celebrated our 18th year.
Wow,
marriage.
Isn't that beautiful?
My wife and I, just completely the partnership of that I always prayed for.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So,
and you got it.
Yeah.
Tell me about this tour and tell me what is happening on it because we do have a special guest with us right now.
Yes, we do. We have Miss Shay Universe from London in with us.
So what brings you to town, and how did this happen? Because, like, I mean, you were watching and hearing, you know, me ask questions to the one, the only Jon B, right? And we're talking about legacy moments, iconic moments, and really him being the foundation of so much of the music we love today. How did this connection happen, and what does that mean to be going on tour with Jon B?
How did the connection happen? Well, I opened up for his London show. This was, when was this?
It's about 6 months ago.
Wow, time has flown. Yeah, about 6 months ago. And it felt so organic and so authentic. Our music styles complemented each other so well. And yeah, from there we kind of just formed an organic relationship, and now I'm supporting him on his US tour. So
Yeah, you're going on tour with Jon B. So
Yeah.
this is a beautiful moment.
Huge deal.
So lovely. I mean, first of all, we met backstage before she even sang. I just appreciated the fact that she was warming up with her band and getting the vibes right. You know, they're kind of doing it. I didn't want to bother her.
Yeah.
So I kind of left her alone. And then when she came out, I said, "Hi, how you doing? I'm Jon." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so nice to meet you." And I just was like, okay, now I can't wait to hear her, because she's nice. You know what I mean? She's a nice person. And so when I went out on the side of the stage and we watched her set, she's just mesmerizing. Her voice is literally sultry. It's soul. And it's, you know, we have a lot of voices that are very, like, you know, the tiny voices that are still very pretty, beautiful, right? But like on Ariana Grande, she's got like little tiny voice. Like she can sing, right? But she's got that style where it's like a thinner quality. She has this broad tone, and I don't want to say too much. I would rather you sing for them and just give them a little bit. Her tone, you got to hear.
Wow.
Just,
Please.
just give them a little something. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Anything. I wish I could sing. You heard how disastrous I was. So this is a moment right now.
She's the real deal.
This is like my go-to song that I love to sing, because I grew up on Anita Baker. So I'm going to sing a bit of Sweet Love by Anita Baker.
Yes.
With all my heart, I love you, baby. Stay with me, and you will see my arms will hold you, baby. Never leave, 'cause I believe I'm in love. Sweet love.
Sing, girl.
That's what I'm gonna get. You caught me off guard.
First off, can I just say how incredible that was, because we miss moments like this where an artist is so talented, undeniable talent.
Wow.
And to sing on the spot.
Thank you.
We're used to hearing music that's super produced, this. And so for you to do that right now, there is no vocal, like,
See the truth.
Getting ready.
Yeah.
You literally just got put on the spot in the most beautiful way possible.
Wow. Thank
Beautiful
you.
voice.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
And, you know, I've never heard Jon B co-sign anybody or say anything nice. I'm kidding. We love.
No.
He's a musician.
Stop
He's a true artist. So, like, how he's hearing
I'm getting
music
shit for that.
and critical of music is really coming from a place of his admiration for music, right? Like, he's an artist.
It's real.
So when he's talking about your voice like that, what does that mean? Knowing that he is critical because he loves the art so much.
You know, it means more than my words can even really express. You know, like this is a huge time for me in my life and in my career, and I feel like there's no better, what more confirmation or affirmation can you get than this, you know? Letting you know that you are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing and you're exactly where you're meant to be. You know, this is much deeper for me than just like, I'm on tour with Jon B. I am on tour with Jon B. That's amazing, you know? But it's like, what that means to me is an affirmation of like, me being on the right journey.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know? And so I'm just...
I thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those moments are important in your career, and being... You need those moments, right? To just sometimes you need that extra, all right, I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I think that's important for, you know, it's important to kind of get in where you fit in. You know what I mean? And get down with the folks that are similar to you, because it makes it easier and also encourages and makes the trip fun. You know what I mean? This is a trip, and to do what we do. So to do it with folks that you feel like you can really get down and collaborate, or we have got some collaborating to do too. I mean, we haven't made any music yet together, so
you heard it here first.
Let's go. But that. There's pressure there. Come on, John, relax. We just heard you dissecting music live. But I mean, that I'm really happy for you. And I just think it's special that someone as talented, an icon, to say that. But more importantly, to be somewhere where you're celebrated, right? And where you're wanted.
Yes.
That is nice. And so I think that's amazing.
Where I feel understood. Because, because I feel like in this industry, it's very easy to feel misunderstood sometimes because a lot of people are chasing fame. They are chasing, you know what I'm saying? They're chasing like the glitz and glamour of the thing. Whereas he said earlier in his interview, like he's never chased fame. He's allowed the fame to chase him. I resonate with that so deeply, but because I'm more in, I guess you could call the infancy of my career, a lot of people don't really get that. They like almost feel like I should be chasing the fame. Like you're in this inceptive part, like you should be, I'm not chasing the fame. I'm interested in making timeless music that stands the test of time. That's what has brought this here, because we share that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. I just, this is beautiful.
That's why why. You see? You see what I'm talking about?
100%.
She's already seasoned in her interviews right now. You've been doing this for years, love. You've been doing this. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. No, that's and you need to be around people who think and just feel the same way because it just makes the alignment so much better.
Oh,
exactly.
Because I'm sure, John, in your career, you've seen alignment not be there and it just turned into a disaster.
Well, you know what? I think that it's been a trip to see other guys that are built differently than I am, like in terms of what their goals are. You know what I mean? I'd be like, okay, well, maybe it wasn't such a bad idea to go and sign with Babyface and pass up the the money, because that allowed me to be an authentic R&B artist as opposed to have a bunch of money in the bank but come out as a pop artist doing the music that I never intended on doing. You know what I mean? And maybe
you regret losing out on millions of dollars.
No, I don't regret it at all because I'm going to get it anyway.
You're going to work, but listen, to work with your idol. But that's the truth. The truth is you turned out millions of dollars to follow.
Yeah. But I got it still. That's the thing is like, because I sold millions of records.
Come on.
I sold millions of records, y'all. I mean, I sold a lot of records.
Yes.
I think one of the most misunderstood things about me is that I was sort of like it was like they don't know and that was it, right? No, that's not it. That's not it, y'all. We had like every single song that I ever released. I sound like I'm bragging, but I'm just saying like, yeah, I'm proud of this, that I was able to, have platinum singles and have double platinum albums. And now they're probably quadruple platinum, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just been so much time now, so they've allowed them to accumulate. But, as opposed to taking that fast check and not going down the road that had the camaraderie and had the artistic connection that me and Kenny had. So it's like it's priceless, you know what I mean?
Alignment is so important. I'm so happy for you to experience this. And
thank you.
A lot of times we've been in the game for a long time, and to see, maybe not the best alignment, no one wins in that situation. But to see this, it's nice. It's refreshing. It's also great to see great music, great voices truly wins at the end of the day, despite what we hear, what we see, because I mean, listen, being on social media could be very like, is this what people want? But this undeniable talent is forever.
You know what she kind of brings back for me?
Yes.
Her voice. I'm a huge Soul to Soul fan. Like, Karen Wheeler, do you know who that is?
Yes.
Back to Life, you know what I mean? And it's like the sultriness of her voice is so, it's like it's hard to describe, but that's the way that I've always envisioned British soul in terms of like their take on soul music. She was like the voice of like English soul. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so when
there's a lot of praise right now.
Like, when I hear her voice, it reminds me of that energy. You know what I mean? It's like that. I always feel like I'm being so consoled when I hear Sade. You know what I mean? It's like there's something that's so maternal about her energy, and also like just like I said, consoling. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel that same texture.
No pressure.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
that is like a big compliment. I love Soul to Soul as well.
Yeah, that's why I love Camden, because I got to work in Soul to Soul Studios in Camden, England. Yeah, with Jazzy B. I wrote the song Coco Brown there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And you know, it's like kind of cool because I was making the beat, and then Karen Wheeler walks in the room, and she's like, "Can I make you some chicken, baby?" I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make you some jerk chicken. I'll make some bomb jerk chicken," of course in an English accent.
Right.
and there was like, it was just all this camaraderie between us. She would come in and check on me as I was recording. And, "Oh, that's nice. I like that melody, baby."
Oh my gosh.
So I'm sitting here trying to impress her with my runs, and you know what I mean? Because she was like she's the run queen. Like
This is
the most jazziest sensibilities of melody. Like Karen Wheeler, she's incredible.
Who else do you want to work with? The reason I ask this is just
I'd love to. Well, I'm sorry.
yeah, because just everyone you've already worked with
Yeah.
and come across and worked with them in some capacity or got feedback from them. What's left for you?
I think I'd love to work with some of the people that are just still here, that are like just absolute like pillars and holding up my house. You know what I mean? In terms of my knowledge of music. There's so many people, both new school and old school.
Sure.
But I'd like to get with the Weeknd. I'd like to have a chance to produce the Weeknd properly, like write a song for him, because I think it could be great.
Come on.
I love to work with the likes of D'Angelo.
Oh.
She's a huge D'Angelo fan as well.
Did you see that? Oh.
Love D'Angelo.
So
You have to be in the studio if this happens, you know?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Sorry, John, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah,
if it
let's
happens.
get it.
Fly on the wall. Even if I
That's
have
it.
to be a fly on the wall, I will happily do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm Maxwell. I'm a huge Maxwell fan as well.
yes.
So me and Maxwell and I are actually friends, and it's cool to say that. I mean, we met each other, and he's a fan of mine. I'm a fan of his, and it's kind of cool to get texts from Maxwell every once in a while and
So
say,
great.
"Hey man, I'm feeling a new single, whatever." I mean, I'd love to work with Leon Bridges. Leon Bridges is one of my favorite voices right now, male vocalist. Like, I just love everything about Leon Bridges. He writes his own stuff. He plays the guitar. To me, he's like another Nat King Cole, like of our generation, but like not exactly like Nat King Cole, but like a Sam Cooke.
Sure.
You know, just in that just classic. Like, he's gonna be here for a long time.
You love this. You love music.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is,
It's what I do, man.
It's
what I love.
amazing. It's
my
been
passion.
an honor and a privilege to be having this conversation with you. And I
Likewise,
love
Nessa. Thank
that alignment still matters to you, and who you go on the road with still matters to you. I love moments like this, and it restores hope, right, Katrina, for us who love music. And it's just, it's so refreshing, and I'm so thankful. And I thank you both for taking the time to be here and have like music talk. But thank you for being great, because we never know who we're going to come across, especially someone that we've looked up to and that we have loved for so many years. Thank you for being just as great and even better. And thank you for not shattering our dreams.
Oh, no.
Because it would have broke our hearts 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nessa.